Okay, team, how are we doing? I've had a few questions over the years actually, and it's very hard to communicate with people now because emails don't get checked and so many different platforms. I thought I'm going to put a video together, try and explain something about progressive overload, specifically within our lift sessions, but this goes across the board and it comes back to asking the right questions. Obviously, as a club, we are looking to provide you with evidence-based training, and that has come to the fore even more since the refurbishment, where we have programmed out all this across the year. And we've done that so that people can come and join the club at any stage, and regardless if you are an experienced lifter, there are ways that you can get the most from a session, and if you're a beginner, you've got time to master the movement patterns and develop as a lifter, and feel part of a community where everybody can work out no matter where they are and at what stage they're at. Because we've all been beginners at some stage, it's also important to run a facility and a community that considers everybody as a whole. I want to explain some considerations around progressive overload and our compound. So compound lifts are the main focus of lifting, and you'll see that on the right hand side here. They're highlighted on this screen as A1. So you'll see in month 1, for just as an example program, A1 is bench press and 8 reps, and then A1 front squat in month 1 is also 8 reps. We're starting off firstly in month 1, making sure that everybody can actually understand all the different cues that are important for joint stability and just the function of the lift, so you're moving efficiently and not going to get injured. And then as you go on month 2, there's the option within the same compound lift for some progressive overload. So progressive overload can come from different things. It could be the case that you have shifted more load, even when you're on your 8 reps, that's increased in time, that's a progressive overload. And then what we do is we drop the rep range to 6, and then it allows you to shift even more load again. It's just another simple form of progressive overload. There's other ways to do that as well, through tempo and just manipulation of rep ranges. And then into month 3, for example, let's start to say that, yep, we've done bench press for 8 weeks, we've done bench press for 4 weeks in month 1 at 8 reps, then we make it 6 reps, and then we take it to 4 reps. And at that stage, for sure, about 8 weeks in, people might start to say, well, I've been doing this for quite a while now, and that's where repetition comes in. And that's why sometimes programs are just tweaked that little bit. However, the evidence does say 8 to 12 weeks is the best time for strength-based training to see true improvements. Obviously, that will depend on the individual. But what you could then do at this stage, if you're tracking your lifts, you can lift heavier, you can improve your tempo, you could try pause reps. Or if you're still mastering the lift, it gives you an opportunity to just improve on the fundamentals with less reps to do, so you can actually focus on joint stability as we progress. Then, as you can imagine, as you go through the years or the months into the year, and everybody's done a full cycle of training, and you come back to do that again, I'm not saying the programs are going to be exactly the same, but the truth of it is, when it comes to lifting, your compound lifts, your bench press, your squat, or anything that's a horizontal push, a horizontal pull, an overhead press or an overhead pull, a knee hinge, a hip hinge, whatever it is, there's certain lifts that will just be repeated because they're the best lifts for working multiple muscle groups, and that's what your compounds are. They're a staple in all of, if not all, strength workouts. The accessories that we choose within a lift, if we look at this again here, you've got your bag squat, your reverse lunge and your squat jump. They're slight variations of something very similar, and that is a knee hinge. It's all doing the same thing with a slightly different stimulus, and this is where we add in a little bit of variation month to month, but allows you to actually progress with something. For example, if somebody struggles with a reverse lunge in month 2, they can go back to the bag squat that they've already mastered in month 1, and as a group it allows us to progress at a pace where those who can progress and really push themselves with extra load, or those who need to pull it back and go back to something that we've done in a previous phase. But accessories are really dependent on the intent of the actual workout itself. For example, you could have supersets that are the same muscle group. So you could have a bench press and a push-up, and the intent on that would then be that you're looking at more strength endurance. If what we've got here, bench press and bag squat, that's totally different muscle groups, and that means the intent is on the actual compound at the start and complete strength. 8 reps is the top end of strength, true strength, but that can go down and more typically seen at reps 1 to 5. But up to 40 seconds work with a tempo, that will get you about 8 reps on, for example, a front squat. If your tempo's down, 3 down, 1 pause, 1 up, or thereabouts. The intent of the session is important for you guys to understand as well. And although your goals might be strength based, that doesn't mean that you can't improve strength with doing some strength endurance work. And that's why throughout the phases and throughout the months, we will have different intents to the session. Predominantly so far, we've been working opposing muscle groups or opposite muscle groups at stations so that we could focus on the compounds. The compounds always being the one where we're shifting the most weight. So if you think about this here, you're going to be doing more with your bench press than you will with a front rack bag squat. Or you'll be doing more with your front squat than you will with a push-up, the load that you're going to be shifting. Think about the muscle groups that are being worked, or of course you could leave it to us to plan it out for you, which we do, and then just asking the right questions around the intent of the session, what we're trying to get from it, with a real focus on this being the first exercise you do, A1, B1, and throughout a full session. So if it was bench press, front squat and overhead press, then that's your 3 compounds, and that's followed by an accessory that's going to help you lift more in the future, and not taking too much away from the strength element. I hope that makes sense with regards to progressive overload, why we program, and all these sessions are developed in a way and designed in a way to allow everybody to progress at a pace and a level of understanding. The other benefit is you've got access to our training app, and with the training app, it allows you to also come into the open gym if you've got the right membership to come in and actually do that. If you can't make a class time for whatever reason, if the class schedule doesn't quite suit your lifestyle as an individual, then obviously we've got to try and program a timetable that suits up to 300 people. It's going to be impossible to please absolutely everybody, although we do try our best. And that's why we've got the training app, so you can now track your weights, and you can also come in your own time and work through the plans that you've been coached on in the small group session. So even if you're only making a few of the small groups to get some coaching on it, you've then got videos and track and stay motivated through seeing your progress using the app. So I'm going to try sharing that just now and hope that it works. Give me 2 seconds. This is a little look at the small group training, and I just want to quickly show you how this works. At the top, you want to tick each content block, and then if, for example, in week 1 of a month, it's Penley row and a dumbbell standing Y raise, I could just click on this box here where it says plus PR, and if my PR was 70 kilos, I could type that in. That means that I've done 8 rep max. I could do no more at that point. That's then telling me, you'll see there beside the word Penley row, above that it says 59.5 now. That's essentially meaning that I could come in and I'm going to work from that 59.5 or 60 kilos, I'm going to round it up, across my sets. I'm going to do no less than 60 kilos. So I might warm up at 50 and then I'm going to work from 60, and I might just work 60 for all sets. There's no problem with that. If I'm feeling quite good, I might work up to 65, and then over the months ahead, you don't actually have to redo your 8 rep max to improve it, which is often a misconception and a mistake people make, thinking they have to do personal records every single week when they come to the gym, thinking about 1 or 2 reps in reserve. If you're doing 60 kilos and you feel you've got 4 or 5 reps in reserve, then you could probably go a little bit higher. But just repetition of the movement patterns will give you, when you come back to redo that, you're going to be stronger, and your 70 kilo 8 rep max will now increase. Let's say again we'll come deeper into the program, you say, well, that's improved. You'd go back in there, you could change that to 80, and then that's going to change the weight that you're lifting at. And what I'd recommend to people coming into a class for the first time, in fact every time you're coming to a group, before you come in, have a look at your compound lifts. In this case it's your Penley row, your sumo deadlift, and be like, okay, I know what I'm lifting here. I don't need to have the phone open the whole session. I know that for my Penley row I'm going to be 60, and you'll start to remember this because these sessions are ones that are repeatable for a period of time. The next thing you can do is click in and leave some notes. For example, this was with a Y raise, so you just put kilos, Y raise. That's all you need to do, and then next time you hit the history button, come on through, it's going to come in here with all your details, and it just means that you're able to track absolutely everything that you're doing within your sessions. There's a drop down menu at the top. It allows you to choose what session you're attending and track whatever you think is important, but especially the lift sessions for me is where the app will give you the most benefit. Let me just come back out here. The other thing, once you've used that, if you could click on the icon at the bottom right here, the little person, you can then click on tracking, and you'll see you've got all these PRs, and you'll see here my 10 rep max lunge was up at 9%. So if I click on that, it then gives me a bit of a breakdown. On the 10th of March is when I set my first PR at 70 kilos, and then on the 5th of May, I redone the test on this lift, and it was 29% up. So you can imagine now, every time I come in for a session, that I'm actually getting more from the workout because I'm working closer to what my PRs are. And that's the idea of your small group training app, that allows you to track a lot more things as we go. The next thing I was going to show you just quickly is I just wanted to show you again a quick AI overview about longer term adaptations. So strength training adaptations, initial and long term, occur over a period of weeks, and you'll see initial improvements in strength and muscle size. It can be seen as little as 4 to 6 weeks. However, substantial and noticeable changes often take 8 to 12 weeks or even longer, depending on training consistency and intensity. The important thing there is consistency. Let me just stop sharing the screen. Consistency is massive if we want to see progress, and enjoyment is also hugely important. But you get more enjoyment when you start to understand something and why you're doing it, and you get even more enjoyment when you start to see that your numbers are actually moving up. I don't see how they can't go hand in hand. I wanted to share why our training plans for lift, for example, are up to 3 months now. Our HIIT and conditioning sessions change every month. Sometimes there's only small adaptation, because even in those sessions, it's another video altogether. But you could be looking at pacing, you could be looking at even at your Apple Watch or whatever watch you've got for tracking. If you're noticing your resting heart rate go down over a period of 2 or 3 months, then that means that the work that you're doing in the gym is improving. And of course, we've got a variety of sessions. You've got Conditioning 45, you've got HIIT, and you've got Team Sweat, and you've got other event-based training. 4 different sessions in the week that are for the same. 2 of them are HIIT and conditioning are the same for a month, and they change. And then you've got your Conditioning 30, which is different every time. You've got Team Sweat that's different every weekend. So there is variety within there, but we've also got our program sessions so that you guys can see the progress you're making as well, which is for me extremely important. If I train a client, which is a much higher priced product in one-to-one coaching, then the lift sessions are the closest thing you've got to how we would generally train a client. We're getting them to eat better, to move more outside, to come to some conditioning sessions, and to work consistently through a program where they can see and develop their understanding of lifts, and that's what we're trying to bring to a group. Any questions you've got, more than open to talking through them, but most importantly, I hope that you can take something from this video and have a better understanding about what we're doing. And if you want to download the app, if you're not using it yet, and you would like more information on how to get the most from that, then again, reach out. More than happy to go through a video or in-person seminar, workshop on how to get the most from your training within the group sessions. Thanks for spending nearly 15 minutes listening to me there, but I do hope it was helpful.